What is your fascination with Smeagol?
I don't know.
Anyway, welcome to Dem Drunk Blokes.
That was all.
Thank you.
Today with me, as you may have already heard, I have some extra people. Some people that have been missing for a while. Some people have been on the road. So with me today, I have...
That's me. I'm this person. DDB voice guy. Chaz. Whatever.
Renegade Logan X, as per usual.
Poe Gipatone Alien Hunter.
And obviously, we've got the newest podcast member.
Lefty No End from Ketchup and the Soul.
Yeah, there you go. So, today's going to be a bit of a weird one. It's probably going to be the last time you hear our voices chatting to each other for a while, because we're going to jump into our D&D seasons. We just want to give you an update of what's going on and what's been around, what we thought of things that have just gone, and what we think of things coming up. I think this might be a good opportunity just to start with the fact that some other podcasters that you may know and love have done us a little favour regarding certain issues of last year. First one I'm going to talk about, or the first one who's going to talk about it, is our good friend Bouncy Ball and his gaming review of 2018. So enjoy that.
Hello, it's me, Bouncy Ball, with an H after the second B. If you don't know who I am, then that's fine. I don't really know who I am anymore. But hello, I've been asked to do some words into a mic, and these are those words. So if I get my notes up in front of me, I can continue doing words as I talk you through my games of the year of 2017. Now, interestingly, 2017 was the one year where I probably didn't play that many games. That was boring. How boring is that? Wow, what an intro. Let's try again. Hang on, snappy, right. Well, hi there, and 2017's top 5 games of the year for me were Middle-earth: Shadow of War, the Nintendo Switch and various games that came with it, Mass Effect Andromeda, more on that later, Thimbleweed Park, and South Park: Fractured But Whole. Now, you might be thinking, why is he putting on that voice? He sounds an awful lot like a 1970s radio DJ. And now I'm a bit worried about the connotations of what that might sound like, so I'm generally going to just get that out of the way. So, yeah, didn't play a huge amount of games this year. A lot of mobile stuff. South Park Phone Destroyer and Sims are tapped out still. Just look at my phone now because it's in front of me. Got a text message there from Dr. Hamhock who said... Would Ari doing Holocaust again? Absolutely not. Dalek and I have got a new gig, and we don't need you dragging us down. Okay. Excellent. Anyway, yeah, so, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, or whatever it was called. A lot of that. Coindozer I've been playing a lot recently, because being awake at 4 a.m, sometimes you just want to drop fake coins onto a fake Coindozer. What are you doing, dog? Piss off. Go on. He's an actual dog. That's not just a pet name for my partner. And Egg Inc. Still working on that. Pokemon Go. Still working on that. But yeah, on the whole, not a lot of games this year. But I did get a Nintendo Switch. Bought it from Vimesy off of other podcasts. I can't remember. Gamer's Confessional, I think he does now. Either way, he put his Switch up for sale and I bought it. And I love it. I think the Nintendo Switch is a marvellous, marvellous piece of kit. Super Mario Odyssey, I don't think is that great. I think it's good, but it's not very big. It didn't take me anywhere near as long as Mario 64 did. And, boring, normal Mario in many ways. Frustrating, entertaining. Best bit about it was a musical number in both 2D and 3D atop a building in New Donk City. You know, whatever. Hat thing can piss right off. Don't give a shit about that. Oh, look, you can be a frog. Good, because that's what I want on Super Mario Odyssey. Odyssey definitely being related to Homer's epic poems, in which an ancient hero got into a giant metal flying hat and went around the world taking over people's minds with another magic flying hat that could be thrown in any direction that you like, but only in the direction you like, even though the hat is completely self-aware and can move on its own and could have just walked up to someone and jumped on the head. But hey, never mind. What does that matter? Get Bowser in a wedding suit and some ridiculous rabbit bosses who are boring and tedious and really bloody easy to beat. Yeah, it's great. 10 out of 10 review, guys. 10 out of 10 review. It's the best Mario game ever. Ooh. No, it's not. It's really not. People get so... It's a funny thing with Nintendo. They put out a Mario game and people go, oh, this is the best Mario game since the last Mario game. Is it? Because Mario Sunshine was bloody brilliant and everybody was like, oh, why is it like that? And then Mario Odyssey is like, oh, relatively pedestrian Mario. And why is his pants such a huge amount of money to unlock? Ridiculous. So that was a little bit disappointing. But then disappointing because I had such high expectations for it. You know, it's still a very good game, obviously. It's not a 10 out of 10 game, though. Absolutely not. As you can also level that criticism at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is frankly an aberration. Taking a game, removing all of the necessity to unlock anything or to progress through the game through actual achievement, and just basically giving you everything out the door and saying, well, you've obviously already played this on a Wii U because everybody had a Wii U, guys, and you don't want to have to do all that again. Well, you know what? Yeah, I do. Why not put a patch on the Wii U that allows you to generate a code so you can then put it in on the Switch and then unlock the stuff you've done? Dog, for God's sake, will you go away? Don't look at me like that. Goodness me. Lol, of course, dog. Anyway, so that was disappointing. And Zelda, I just cannot get into Zelda. Everybody keeps telling me it's the best thing ever. And I just wander around thinking, why is the grass so movie? I don't want movie grass. I'm not that first. I'm sure once it clicks, I'll really like it. But for the moment, I'm playing games like Ironcast on it a lot, which played the year before on the Xbox One. It's like a steampunk turn-based strategy game involving like match 3 puzzlers. And it's great. It's really good. And it kicks my ass every time. It's I've only ever beaten the sort of, in inverted commas, final boss, because once I beat it, I found out it wasn't the final boss. I only ever beat that once, ever, on any of the versions of it. And I keep playing it, and it's fantastic, and it's just no money at all. Thimbleweed Park, which I'll talk about in a minute. You know, you got the creator of Monkey Island doing a point-and-click adventure game, and then putting it onto the Nintendo Switch with touchscreen controls that make it all brilliant, and it's hilarious and perfect. Nintendo Switch is the PlayStation Vita of Nintendo consoles, in the sense that the AAA stuff is passable, it's all good, but the indie stuff, or Nindy, as I've been told to call it, frankly, that can piss right off. Nindy. Oh, Nindy games. Christ. But yeah, the Switch itself, technology-wise, is great. Controllers are tiny, but just on the right enough side of tiny to still be practical. And yeah, going on a bus. I've still got, at the moment, it's still enough time since release for me to get out on a bus and feel like a little bit of a legend. Like, oh, look at him. Look at him over there with his Nintendo Switch. Oh, he's cool. When in actual reality, it's probably... Oh, Jesus Christ, look at that old man with a Nintendo Switch. It is a bit tricky if you're sitting next to somebody on a train or a bus, because your elbows you can't spread your elbows out enough. And but other than that, it's brilliant. I haven't yet given a controller to a stranger and said, "Oh, do you want a game of Mario Kart?" Because I deleted Mario Kart because it was disappointing. Speaking of disappointing things, I didn't find disappointing. Mass Effect Andromeda. That came out last year. It feels like it came out 3 or 4 years ago. Just a blip in the memory. It came out in March last year, so less than 8 months ago. Well, 10 months ago. How do years work? Is it 12? Still 12 months on this planet? Just gone. Nobody talks about it, apart from the fact they go, "Oh, Mass Effect Andromeda, that was a failure." Yeah, I don't know. I really, really like Mass Effect Andromeda. I liked it more than I liked the first Mass Effect. The crew weren't brilliant in comparison, but that's because it's in comparison. If you didn't have the comparison of the original Mass Effect trilogy, and you're thinking, okay, we need to reboot this. Not reboot, that's not the it's not a reboot, is it? It's like a new offering, a new universe. And they did that, and I quite like the idea of it basically being sort of a bit Battlestar Galactica, mixed with Mass Effect, mixed with Star Trek Voyager. It's fine. I really enjoyed it, and I spent probably a bit too long driving around and doing stuff. A game that people said was almost unplayable and nobody cared about it, and the whole point of it was pointless. I don't know. I don't agree. I thought it was marvellous. I'm disappointed that EA could have dropped it like a hot stone. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe it's just dreadful. Maybe everybody thinks it's dreadful and I just enjoyed it. But hey, does that matter? Does it matter if I enjoy it? Sometimes when I have a bath, I'll get a Cadbury's Twirl and a can of Tizer if I can find one. Nowadays, it's been more a case of Rubicon Mango or Guava. Is it mango? Oh no, it's guava and passion fruit. Guava on its own and passion fruit, I think I like, or lychee. Anyway, Rubicon can and a twirl, and then I let the heat from the bath slightly melt the twirl. Then I eat that, and bits of twirl will like break off because it's obviously just a flake covered in chocolate. They'll break off and they'll be all over my sort of chest, if you can imagine that. Just me dripping wet with slightly molten chocolate on my chest, and then I'll like slurp very cold drink because I'll have stood that on the sink that's next to the bath. I'll be drinking that, so I'm cold on the inside and hot on the outside, like a Burger King meal, and that's, I really enjoy that. But I wouldn't go to a spa and expect that as a treatment. That'd be weird, wouldn't it? Like, okay, what would you like today? Would you like the lava rock massage? Would you like the wet room? Would you like the Turkish? Would you like a Turkish bath? No, just pass me a twirl and a can of fizzy pop, please. I'll just sit in that bath and fester for an hour. Any other requests? Well, yeah, if you could put Spotify onto some 1980s tracks that will both simultaneously uplift me and also make me feel depressed about my age, that would also be great. So you find relaxation in depression? Well, no, not really. I wouldn't say relaxation. I'd say I'm almost always depressed, so kind of used to it by now. But if that's therapy, it's all good. You're having a very interesting two-way conversation while on a podcast talking about video games. Well, if co-hosts don't come in, then I have to do all the work myself. Well, you know why they don't come in, don't you? No. Well, you're bloody difficult to work with. You don't meet deadlines, and you make promises and you don't keep them. Oh, all right. Okay, so you ran a spa and now you mind neuroses all bundled up into one. That's brilliant. Thanks for that. Oh, you're very welcome. And anything else I can get? Oh yeah, just anyway, Mass Effect Andromeda. It's less depressing than my actual life. Thimbleweed Park. Oh God, I love Thimbleweed Park. It was kickstarted, and the idea was to make a game in the style of the classic LucasArts point-and-click adventure games, but like the proper classics. Not just sort of later Monkey Islands when they all went 3D and you had Murray the Skull, but like going back to Maniac Mansion and stuff like that, with big heads and weird puzzles. And it's great as a kind of Twin Peaks mixed with Monkey Island, and it's brilliant. I don't really want to say too much about it because the more you say, the more you ruin. But it is at heart a love letter to those older games, but also genuinely reflective of changes. The dynamic lighting in it is great. You've got some really, really good writing, some really good lighting, some teeth that are very biting. So yeah, seek it out immediately. If you haven't, it's not expensive. Get it. And preferably on Steam or Switch, so you can get the sort of proper point-and-click version. But yeah, just get it. It's on every console. And then finally, South Park, The Fractured Butthole. Oh, God. It's a really weird one, the South Park games, because Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole are, at heart, pedestrian games. They're not reinventing the wheel here. Everything is pretty basic puzzle solving. But the problem is, it doesn't matter. Well, it's not a problem, is it? The saving grace is it doesn't matter because it's South Park. Yeah, South Park is animation that's pretty basic and crap, and it's still brilliant because it's funny. And the Fractured Butthole is very funny and childish, and I laughed out loud at a lot of things. It wasn't as controversial as I've been led to believe, like all this talk of we're never going to be able to work on this industry again, or when this comes out people are going to be really shocked, or things we've done about the Catholic Church. But it's not shocking. It's just I was more shocked by the sheer amount of things that got shoved in my arse in the game. As a character, there wasn't like an extra peripheral like the res vibrator thing. So yeah, that's great. And then finally, Middle-earth Shadow of War, the follow-up to Shadow of Mordor. Probably one of my favourite games of the last 10 years, Shadow of Mordor. Assassin's Creed mixed with Lord of the Rings. See, I don't care about Lord of the Rings. A lot of people look at me and they think, fat guy, beard, glasses, obviously, rubs one out thinking about Galadriel, if that is actually a character. I'm pretty sure it's a character from Lord of the Rings. I don't know, because I don't really care. I don't really care about fantasy as a general. Skyrim I only really enjoyed in spite of itself, really. not because of the setting. I quite like punching a dragon in the face. None of the fantasy setting did anything for me. I kept thinking, God, this would be better if I had a car or a helicopter. But, you know, some people really like it, some people don't. What I really liked about Shadow of Mordor, and by extension Shadow of War, was the fact that the world wasn't too big, so I could get around it quite a lot. I could attack people quite easily, and it was incredibly brutal. And the Nemesis system is bloody brilliant. And if you don't know about the Nemesis system, I can't even begin to explain how brilliant the Nemesis system is. But I'm going to try. Essentially, you fight an enemy, if they get away, say you you cut them across the face or something in combat, they get away, they come back with massive skull or metal plate, and they're angry because you attacked them before, so then they're more motivated to kill you. Or if they defeat you in combat because you basically keep coming back to life because you've got a ghost inside of you, then they get stronger and they become more supported by other orcs and orcs or whatever they are in Lord of the Rings. I think it's just orcs. I think the orcs are special orcs or something, like Olympian orcs. So they basically... that combat works. And then in Shadow of War, you raise your own orc army, which means you have people who are very loyal to you or may betray you, or you can send on missions, and it is brilliant. It is not as good as Shadow of Mordor in the sense that it's not all new, and it carries on as is, but I really liked it. And I really love that proper Lord of the Rings nerds got proper upset with what they did with certain characters. So yeah, that's what it's like sometimes, you know, people disappoint you. So what? The flaws are okay. Thank you for listening to my roundup of some games that I liked this year. If you'd like to hear more from me, then keep your fingers crossed and something might happen. I don't know. Maybe a feedback to this good. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's bounceable with an H after the second B. But if not, enjoy the rest of your year. 2018, eh? Woo!
So thank you very much, Bouncy, for that. Yeah, there you go. He's first. Hopefully, in the future, we're going to be doing some crossovers with him. He might appear in DDB Presents Beard Pie Radio. He could just appear on one of our D&D shows. Nobody knows. But hopefully, we can get him in a lot more to be one of us. One of us. One of us.
We are on the slow takeover of the world.
Slow takeover of the world. So let's talk about what we have become. What we have become now is a network of shows. And I think the first person to take it away should be Lefty No Hands, introducing his show. If you haven't gone out and heard it yet, where can they find it, Lee?
You can find me, well, I've been dropping it on Podbean, but I'm now on iTunes as well. Hopefully that's loading up properly on now.
Fingers crossed.
DVB, hopefully, fingers crossed. If not, then you can find me on there. Just look for Ketchup for the Soul. So I've just been putting that out on Twitter and Facebook. I've got all that set up. And I've also just set up my YouTube account, so hopefully I'm going to be putting some stuff on there, some interviews that are coming up at some events that I'm going to as well.
And maybe some farcical videos.
Farcical?
Yes, yeah. I'm thinking about coming up with an idea of doing some sketches and stuff like that for it as well. So there's plans for the future.
So people that missed our DDB Presents Ketchup for the Soul with our amazing crew here of Pinkface, when they very first did that episode.
We do some music too for the podcast.
Yeah, you remember doing that? I think we was talking about...
I'm the lead singer of Pinkface.
I'm in Pinkface.
I knew that was coming back.
It's terrible. This is like fucking Senate. We're crawling a hole.
So Ketchup for the Soul, the original idea, I think, was DDB Voice Guy's idea. Because we don't obviously talk about politics and religion on...
It was not. It was my fucking idea. Fuck that. Let's get it on the record.
No one cares your idea.
I don't give a fuck either.
If it goes wrong, we'll just blame
Just want
you
to get it on the
because
record.
you're Canadian.
So yeah, what was the idea of the original Ketchup for the Soul?
Just catch up.
I just thought, wasn't it that the whole idea was, or at least part of the idea was that on the main DDB we couldn't normally talk about religion and politics.
That was it too.
So we wanted to talk about religion and politics, but we also wanted to talk about like bullshit, like how much bullshit people have put
Is
over
mixed
top
in
of
with
everything.
all of that.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that was the original idea.
It's about
And
life.
we did one offshoot episode that you can go back. I think it's called episode 7. DDB presents Catch Up for the Soul. With
Great
a
episode.
catchy intro from our two guys here.
Yeah, that's a great little number.
As the lead singer of Pink Face, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I just got to embrace it now.
So,
Be a cocky idiot for the rest of my life.
the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna get
Not
more.
change.
Big face.
So then Lee, our good friend we've known for years, decided to take up the mantle and run with it.
The lead singer of Pink Face.
So yeah, what,
yeah, and it takes on the same kind of
I'm the
humour,
only
just
member
about
of
life,
Pink
and
Face, actually.
yeah, it just takes on the same kind of humour about life and stuff like that in general. It's just like the first episode talks about YouTube and the way that they kind of treat their creators, like with the Paul Logan crap that was going on and the PewDiePie stuff that happened last year. And they don't treat themselves as broadcasters. That's why they kind of get away with loophole business, and like they invest loads of money in these people anyway. So when all the shit happens and the shit hits the fan, they kind of manage to get away with the crap. And I kind of point that out a little bit, which was nice.
as at the same time as obviously trying to get your shit out there and
Exactly, yeah.
So it's a bit of a parody on what's going on in the
exactly.
world.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
It's kind of
I actually watch all that, and it's kind of that's the other side of it. Is that I'm kind of one of them machine
Well, we
things
all
that
are.
kind of roll with it.
We all are here. We all
So
are.
it's nice to have a different perspective instead of just going with the one perspective. So you're going to hear some
I'm not a
odd
machine. I
examples.
was created by the one true God, Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ.
our Lord and Saviour. Oh wait,
This is the wrong podcast.
sorry everyone.
But I've got a couple of other things coming up as well this year. So hopefully that's going to pan out well. I've got Anime and Gaming Con coming up in London.
Yeah, so obviously we went last year. You can see on our YouTube our interviews with some of the on the Dem Drunk Blokes YouTube channel.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. And we did go in the summer, but we lost them recordings.
Yeah.
Someone lost a phone. But we're going again. We're
portal gun.
we're represented there
Molly's
again.
fault.
So if you go in there, give us a shout. We can make sure we come and interview you. I know we've got a couple of cosplayers now that follow us. So if you want to get on the show, obviously go and meet up with our guys there. They're going as Press Pass again. So
Yep.
they'll have the special coloured wristband and walking around with microphones.
Yeah, we're not going to be shy about it either. If you want to come and see us, then we'll be more than happy to talk about what's going on. in your
Exactly.
life
And
why
if you
what
don't want to
you're
talk about it, they'll probably jump on you and try and talk to you anyway.
into. Happy days. That's what I'm looking forward to.
You'll be able to know us from. We'll all be wearing clothes.
Well, I don't
Well,
think,
for
I
at
don't
least
think
some
that's
time.
Yeah, I don't think that's a full-on guarantee for the whole fucking day.
Not with us.
At
No.
least some point during the day, we'll all be wearing clothes.
Let's try not to get kicked out of this one.
Yeah.
Again. So, that's DDB Presents Catch Up for the Soul. Find them Podbean, their Twitter. They've got now a group page on Facebook.
Yep.
And as I said, iTunes is there, but it's rejected due to the explicit rating on their search engine.
I know. My fault,
But
and
we're
that's
trying
my
to get
fault.
round that as we speak, so you should be able to find it there soon.
And the YouTube's starting up soon as well, hopefully, so we'll try and get that on the go.
Yeah, and YouTube as well, which will cross with the Dem Drunk Blokes YouTube, so you will find us both at the same place. We also have a show which is not represented today, unfortunately, because they got tickets to the football at last minute and fucked off to the football instead.
So I
Beard
think
Pie-
it's less important.
Footy, football. Let's all do the football.
Shall I find out the
Kick
score?
the ball in the goal. Then again, do it again. And just stuff.
Yeah, so anyway, they did that. But they're going to be our gaming, like video gaming specialty podcast. We're all going to appear on every other show. So if you don't like someone's voice, don't worry, we will appear on it eventually. So DDB Presents Beard Pie Radio are going to be talking about what's coming up in gaming, what they've played. We've got a couple of new presenters on there. One of them's a games journalist. One of them's, you may already know, Jake the Body. And there's also another couple of friends that we know that are into gaming that will be appearing on that, as well as us.
And that are up for it and that want to have something to do with it.
Exactly. And on the on the theme of gaming, obviously, if anyone heard, they're re-releasing Dark Souls. Anyone play Dark Souls?
No, that's
Once.
something that I couldn't. Yeah,
I played it once until I died, so not for very long.
Yeah, so about first 10 seconds.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so a game where you die repeatedly is being re-released on the Switch, which I'm really excited for. And due to that, another quite famous podcaster and internet celeb has done us a little song that I'm going to put in now, just about Dark Souls.
Dear chosen undead, here's a few things you ought to know if you want to make your way through Lordran without dying. Light up all the flames, talk to NPCs, go up and down or you will suffer from skeleton raid. Watch out for black knights, don't kill the merchandise. Buy residence key, pine, resin please. You've got the game online, but baby so do I. So don't be thinking I would invade and ruin your night. Never stop to look, just you fucking look for the fog gate, book for the fog gate. You ought to know, Knight Lautrec is not your maiden. He likes murdering the ladies. Kick him off the cliff on sight. Dear chosen undead, here's a few things you'll need to know if you wanna make your way through Lordran without dying. Dear chosen undead, if you wanna be the one who's gonna make it through and lick the flame and kill the Lord of Light. After every fight, sit and dry your eyes. And if you find a shield, then first you should check out his poise. And if your sword is long, you know it's never wrong. Chaos 5 plus 10, Chaos 5 plus 10. You ought to know Framp's been around lately. Point of fact is fucking shady. He's probably feeding you shite. Dear chosen undead, here's a few things you'll need to know if you wanna make your way through Lordran without dying. Dear chosen undead, if you wanna be the one who's gonna make it through and lick the flame and kill the Lord of Light. Sealer ring was found on the roof of a shed, and if you kill him now, then you can get to plus 10. Don't fat roll, keep encumbrance low. Find Havel's ring, find Havel's ring. You ought to know Gwendolyn is not a lady. It's probably a Fudanari, which is fine if that's what you like. Dear chosen undead, there's a few things you need to know if you wanna make your way through Lordran without dying. Oh, dear chosen undead, if you wanna be the one who's gonna make it through and make the flame and kill the Lord of Light. That's right. Chosen undead. Oh fuck, you died.
So yeah, that was Dalek Sex. If you know him, if you don't, go and find him at The Voice of Sex on Twitter. He is my closest friend, or our friend that is the Dark Souls expert. You can see his YouTube channel, Sex Talks About Apps. He does a speed run of Dark Souls 3 in about 6 or 7 hours.
That's crazy. Yeah.
He also does one where, as alluded to Bouncy Ball, who did our little segment earlier, he does one called The Bouncy. And he just goes around with 2 crossbows, completely naked, and does like the first half of the game like that. But yeah, it's great stuff. He's a very funny guy, a very talented guy, as you heard from that. Go and seek him out and listen.
Yeah.
He's also an awesome bloke.
He is. He's really funny. Go and find him.
We
We was
love-
just
we
talking
love the
about
sex.
speed runs while that song was going on.
Sonic the Hedgehog in 13 minutes.
Yeah,
for real.
Sonic 2, yeah.
Is that each level? Doing each level, or is it like you do something
accumulated.
like jump
It's
in
got
and
to
Just
jump?
skip to the exact right part. Right, in like 1 or 2 of the levels, he does this.
Okay, so for an audio
Wait,
podcast,
yeah.
we need to see.
So basically, he gets himself trapped between a lift and the edge of a platform, and the lift squashes him down, and he shoots to the bottom of the screen and flies basically all the way through the level to the end of the
shit.
screen.
Oh yeah.
So we're all watching that right now, and it does happen.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Right,
just
and
go
then he
completely
like pops up at the end, and he like
That's it, done.
Oh wow.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, there's a
And
few.
so he does that like once or twice through the game, but most of it is just him just like kicking the shit. He's just like
He's actually just that.
yeah,
Played it that many
I
times.
watched the guy do it.
Like with
I watched the
fucking
guy
boxes,
do
just
Sonic
drops on it.
1, the whole first zone, blindfolded, in about a
Wow.
minute and a half.
Yeah.
Because he just knew where to jump, where to run. He'd done it so
Timing.
many times. And I've also heard that the guys over at PlayStation Access, there's a guy that does the Doom, and he can do Doom in like ridiculous time because he just knows where, like playing it so often, he knows where everything is. So they're going to challenge him by putting a blindfold on him and see if it is just like muscle memory rather than him seeing anything.
Was in the original Doom.
The original Doom. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
But he goes for all the secret doors and stuff. So if he can hit a secret door and press the panel that you're not supposed to know about, and then the doors come up, you know it's like it's
all
so
muscle
bang on
memory,
point.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, well,
On top of that, if you don't mind, I'm going to give a shout out to my mate Mikey42. He used to play the old Xbox 2 and done King of the Hill Halo 2
sure.
for a week, #1 in the world. It
Fuck
took
that.
him months, absolute months. He didn't see daylight whatsoever, this poor kid, but absolutely battered it. Yeah, for a week, managed to get #1 on King of the
Halo
Hill.
3.
yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah, that was...
I don't know if you heard about the Overwatch League that started. So we've got Spitfire representing London. They're doing really well.
Oh, they're actually doing well this
They're actually doing really well. Well, this
So
is the first. This
no,
is
no, I mean, remember
yeah,
when we
the
was
World
watching it
Tournament.
before in
Yeah,
the
no,
World
that was
Tournament.
World Tournament. That was the World Cup. This is
Not the same people, no.
Spitfire, yeah, but this is a league.
Yeah.
Rather than a World Cup where you get knocked out every turn. Like they got to like the quarterfinals or something last time, but in the league they're doing really well.
Oh, cool.
And if you go down to the loading bars in Dalston and Stratford and that, they actually do Spitfire Sport Club where they stream it live, all have a drink, watch them. It's
And
become
cheer 'em on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
No,
like
that's
for a London-based team, it's quite good. And I've played as the my old team on Overwatch. We've played against them, and they are really fucking good. It's like it's fun to watch.
There's-
I think... Go on.
So it's like that level when they say about sports, where there's people that are good, and then there's the actual people that play sports for a living. It's
The
like
elite.
it's like gamers. There
Yeah,
is
but
just
it's
that
like-
massive jump.
This is the
Yeah,
thing
the
with
elite.
Overwatch. It got everyone into the good players got the chance to be in the league. So they all moved up, and like that's how I got. Like our team was top 500 in the country, and that's quite high
Yeah,
for a
that's cool.
popular game. And that's what I mean. I got to play these people, and they are like the difference is like they know where everyone else is because it's a game. If you've ever played Overwatch, it's a game really about picking the character that suits the team.
Yeah.
Like you need to work together, and there's no argument about it. Like,
Yeah.
even when you're in a team and you're doing shit as your main character, so you drop to another character. If there's no one shouting at you, telling you to change to your next character or a different character, with them they just do it. Like they just know where everyone else is going to be on the map. They know where the enemy's going to be on the map.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
there's always those places on all the maps. It's like when I used to play Halo 3 all the time.
Yeah.
You just knew where people used to hang out. If you got sniped from somewhere, you knew where that person was because there was only.
This
It's
is
like
the
old
difference with
Call of Duty.
Overwatch, though, because not everyone can be a sniper. Not everyone can be a this. Not everyone. You need that. You've played it. You've
Yeah,
played it
that's
as
what I
well.
mean. But that's what I mean. Once you learn the game,
And
you
you
know
have a
the
team
common
around you.
places to be and where to be and all the rest of it. But yeah, Overwatch is one of those games where it does rely a lot more on your team and picking the right people.
Yeah, to supplement the team. So if you pick someone who's a sniper that's not very good at a certain thing during the sniping, so can only pick someone out in an alleyway, not in a wide thing, you need two tanks to like force him into an alleyway in a wide area.
So, you
So
work
that
together like
sniper
that.
is still working as well as he can be, but on the bonus of say a Reinhardt and a Diva squashing them down in an open area.
It's a
to
lot
one
more.
area.
You're a lot more reliant on what your team can help you achieve.
It sounds tactical.
It is, and the thing
You wouldn't think so though.
yeah, when you play it,
first
you
picked
can just
up,
jump
wouldn't
into
think
it all the
would.
time. But that's why I've picked
Yeah.
up Overwatch loads of times on this show. So yeah, go and look at that. Dalek again. You know I'm really good with Symmetra. Matt, you've seen me play with Symmetra. I've got like as a support character, fucking 25 kill streak. Everything else, Dalek showed me how to do that. He was the one that taught me how to use that character properly.
Sounds like a gamer.
Yeah, you really. Anyway, go and find him out on YouTube. That's going to be the little end of this gaming section. Going back to the old days of DDP.
Games.
So normally, what we move on to next is films.
Films.
Games.
Films.
There's like an exit song to the gaming section.
Well, go for it.
We like to play games, games and games. We play games, play a lot of games, talk about games.
Okay, so now I'm going to... now, in the next section, we normally do films. I'm going to hand over to the lead singer of Pinkface about his new podcast under the DDB Presents banner.
Right, so, I'm Renegade Logan X, and the new podcast that we've just released the first episode for, which is The Good, The Great, and Logan X.
DDB Presents.
DDB Presents, obviously. It's always DDB Presents. I actually start it as DDB Presents, The Good, The Great, Logan X. So we've just started up our new film podcast. We're currently on our first sort of series, which we've called the Marvel series. And we're working our way through from our first episode, which is called Vampires, Mutants, and Vagina Faces, which incorporates Blade, X-Men, and Blade 2. We've got two other... Hi, Chaz. We've got two other...
smile for the title, because he knew what it was. Vampires, Mutants, and Vagina Faces. Oh, yeah!
we've got two other guys on there, both who know what they're talking about, depending on what you think about them. We've got the Smurf Rider, who is our film guy, and he's got our facts and figures. Looks up some interesting things that will probably, it's basically some of the things that he's come out with. He keeps them from me and Dan. Dan normally knows them all anyway, just because that's the sort of person he is. That's the DDB Comics guy. But he said some things to me like in the podcast, and even I'm just like, really, what the fuck? Like, you can't believe some of the facts that he actually found out. He goes quite into detail. We review these films, we have a little chat about them. It's not in depth, but it's quite fun to listen to. And we give our opinion as from my perspective as the person that's just a sort of regular film goer, from the person that likes
pop culture expert.
Yeah, from the pop culture expert, and
a film critique.
From the film.
What degree do they have to claim that right?
Well, to be honest, DDB Comics guy. If you listen to our last episode, some of the sort of lesser known pop culture references I did as jokes that don't normally get picked up by people, he was bang on it. Like
Dan just knows his shit, and also
he owns a comic book comic book.
He's a
retailer.
franchise specialist.
Yeah.
Dan knows his shit. You can't take that away from him, especially when it comes to your comic book films. How close they are to comic books, that sort of thing, which is always interesting. And like I say, Scott can look at it from a purely film perspective on his opinion as a film person, and gives us what he thinks about it. And it's just quite interesting. We bounce off each other quite well, and it seemed to flow quite well. And hopefully, people do listen to it and they like what we're doing, and they'll keep listening. Then we're going to be releasing every 2 weeks, and then from the Marvel series, which will take us to about the end of this year, probably Octoberish this year. We're thinking of doing maybe the action heroes films, so your Schwarzeneggers, Stallones, Van Dammes, Seagals, that sort of thing. So we'll go through some of their classic ones. We've got a Halloween special lined up where we're going to do some of the original classics, including Walking Dead. Not Walking Dead. Including Evil Dead, Poltergeist, like the original Freddy. And
Friday, so not the Hammer horror classics. We're going to do like classics.
Those classic ones. So we're going to do a special on that, and we'll do the odd special throughout, and hopefully. If the guys around the table or any other DDB guys see a film and they want to talk about it to us, we can do the odd special, and we can get that out there as well.
I was thinking if you carry on with your series as it is on like the Marvel train, and that can go out on your feed, and then for the big releases, the ones that are going to interrupt your train, so Deadpool 2, Infinity War, some things that I'm going to go and see. I know that. So you come here and we'll do a DDB Presents The Good, The Great and the Logan X special under the DDB feed.
We can. That would be brilliant. And then obviously, like I say, the odd film, because it is a struggle. Some people don't have as much time to go and see the films as what I do and what Scott does and Dan does, you know. So it is more difficult, but I know that there will be films that amongst us as mates we will want to talk about. So if you do go and see films like Infinity War and Deadpool 2, they're going to be popular to talk about, and you can probably do a whole hour on these sort of films. So yeah, it would make interesting listening and keep people occupied on trains, cars, and wherever else they listen to it.
Well, just to throw an idea out to you as well, for the last couple of years I've been going to Fright Fest at Prince Charles's Theatre. So they do a 12-hour marathon of things that are just B-movie films. Some of them get released on disc straight on DVD, but it's kind of good. You get to talk to the directors and some of the cast come up and whatnot.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool. What's that again?
And that's Fright Fest.
Is that run by Film 4?
Pardon?
Is that run by Film 4?
Yeah, Film 4.
Yeah,
they do, but they do one just round the corner.
Okay.
And then they do one at Prince Charles's Theatre, at Halloween, 12-hour run, and you can either do it on daytime or nighttime. So
Prince Charles Cinema.
Yeah, Prince Charles Theatre.
Oh, the theatre.
Yeah,
No, the theatre.
Prince Charles
Theatre, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if that's something that can get interested in as well, I mean, the tickets are quite cheap for that as well. And it's quite a laugh because they have little intervals as well.
Yeah,
and
so
you can see
so again,
the
we'll add that
directors
to our
at the
events
back,
list.
Yeah, that can go on
Maybe
our
that
events
could be
list,
something.
definitely. That'd be good.
So,
like I say, I've been for the last 2-3 years. So
okay, wonderful.
wouldn't mind
So,
carrying that on for it.
expect something from that. Talking about events list,
yes, one written down over there in the book.
we know that, but first of all, very special to us, obviously, this birthed the idea of the DDB Mobile,
Oh yes.
which is going up to see our friend at Mighty Lancer Games running his event, Ambush. And we were lucky enough to catch him in his very busy schedule to have a little chat with him. And yeah, do you want to hear how that goes?
Yep.
I think so.
Let's do it.
So listen to that, see what you think.
It's in 2 parts.
Well, we don't know, I haven't edited yet. Would you want to explain to him why it's in 2 parts, Matt?
Yeah, I've fucked up. So basically, I decided I was going to take the hot seat and be in control, and then it came up stop recording or continue recording, and I clicked stop recording.
Oh.
I don't know why I did that.
Well.
So depending on how I feel about editing, you might hear the gap or you might not. But anyway, enjoy.
Dear listeners, for many reasons, we are deeply, deeply sorry about what you're about to hear. But for the most part, we are legally obliged to stipulate that is because of the noise issues in the background. We are also legally obliged to tell you that you're gonna have to fucking just put up with it and listen to it anyway. Alright? Thank you.
Okay, so we're here, me, Bummer.
And Renegade Logan X.
We're here with a very special guest, Nathan. Say hello.
Hello.
Hey. Okay, so you are the owner, proprietor of Mighty Lancer Games?
That's right.
That's right. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, so where do I start? About 2 years ago, or just over 2 years ago, I thought to myself, I want to stop playing with little games and like spread my love of the hobby with some of my fellows. So started up a small online business that over the space of the year grew and grew and grew. And then we opened a shop because that seemed like the logical next thing to do. So we'd get some people from the local community to come in and play some games and meet other like-minded people.
Awesome.
So
Yeah, so obviously you're
roll from there, really.
so you're a massive fan yourself. Obviously, that's
I've
got you
been,
into it.
yeah, I've been playing war games and role-playing games for 25 years. So.
Oh, he's got a little bit on us.
Oh,
We're 15 years
25
in. We'll catch up one day.
One day.
Right, I'm going to hand over because, as listeners know, I'm not a massive war gamer. I am a massive role player. Probably the best goddamn DM you'll ever meet. But
Supreme leader.
A supreme leader, some may say. I'm going to hand over to Renegade Logan X, and he's going to ask you a few questions of obviously his experiences and your experiences with wargaming.
Wargaming.
All right.
Tabletop. Basically, the main one that I've always played is Warhammer. It's probably where most people start, because it's there. Do you know what I mean? It's in your face in most places. You can always go to the shops. You can see your Games Workshops, so on and so forth. One of the first questions I wanted to ask you was, because I know that there are other games out there to play, the pricing of Warhammer. How do you feel that is going in today's sort of over the last sort of 10 years or so? I'm going to move in front of the camera. It's gone absolutely, in my opinion, it's gone ridiculous. Whereas there are some games out there that are just as good and just as in depth, yet they're not. Do you know what I mean? They're just, for some reason, they haven't got the traction that Games Workshop have managed to get out there.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, because a bit like probably yourself, I started on like Airfix model kits years and years ago when I was like less than 10, and then one day I walked into a shop when I was about 11, picked up a White Dwarf, and thought, these look awesome. I'm going to get me some of these.
That's exactly it.
So, and that's where I started. So for, I don't know, 10, 15 years after that, I almost exclusively looked at Games Workshop products. Yeah. Warhammer and 40k and Necromunda and all these other games that were just awesome.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, there's other stuff I could be spending my money on. So you go out and you take a bit of a break, and then you see some of the other stuff that's out there, some of the other quality miniatures, and you just think, oh, Games Workshop, they are a bit steep, really, aren't they? But now, coming at it from a different perspective, as a retailer, a lot of other games where their miniatures are as well detailed, if not better detailed, they're the same kind of price. Games Workshop, I think they're getting a bit more realistic.
So you think that Games Workshop they've just gone to that level of where other people were already going anyway? It was all sort of going that way. It was all going to become more expensive eventually anyway, and they've just followed suit with a lot of other of the more popular war games.
Yeah, well, the thing with Games Workshop is, because they're such a massive international company, they've got a lot of overheads, haven't they? So they've got to jack their prices up, because they've got there are stores of loss leaders. It sounds like I'm just trying to defend Games Workshop.
No.
And that's not the case.
I wouldn't dream of accusing you of that.
Yeah, no, but their stores don't really make a great deal of money.
Yeah.
All they're there is to try and draw people in. So they make all their money out of the kits online and stuff like that, and selling them to retailers like me to sell on at a discount.
I'm quite good friends with a manager of one of the Games Workshops, and he said to me, with the overheads, they make pretty much zero money out of an actual Games Workshop itself, which I found amazing, considering some of the prices of some of the stuff that you can now buy for particular, like the bigger models that they've gone to, with obviously where the ability to make these models has become even more detail. They've been able to put some of their ideas into their models now, and some of the models look absolutely fantastic, but the prices have gone through the roof to match that. And so I couldn't actually believe it when I was told that Games Workshops don't actually make that much money at all from the actual stores itself.
If you think the high street locations, the rents must be astronomical, and then they've got to pay a guy to be in there, or a couple of guys to be in there, and then all those kids that come in with maybe 20, 30 quid, they're probably not even, it's just scratching the surface. But it's a gateway drug, isn't it? They get them in and they don't let them paint some.
So you're accusing Games Workshop as being a gateway drug to the rest of the tabletop gaming world. Fantastic.
They're kind of like a welcome centre for the rest of the community, aren't they? Because they bring you in and they let you have a couple of free games, and they get you painting the free miniature and whatever, and then they turn you loose.
Bring your children into a Games Workshop unless you want it to cost you a fortune.
That's it. It's like playing something else, like Magic the Gathering or something like that. They give you something to get you hooked, to give you a few freebies to get you hooked in, and then after that, you just spend more money than if you were a drug addict.
Cool.
Well, I was going to say, with that in mind, I mean, even getting into the D&D and stuff, I've got to say, my first view of anything like fantasy tabletop-y was the Games Workshop. There was one on the high street, I walked past it, you look in the window, and there was all these little beautifully painted figures, and you go, I can do that, and then you'd buy...
And realise you can't.
And then realise you can't.
Yeah, that's why I pay people to paint my models.
Fucking money bags.
So, the first dwarf I ever bought was when it was still a magazine that advertised other people's models.
And was it Rogue Trader? Was that Rogue Trader?
No,
Well, it was White Dwarf used to advertise because how do we say? Like, do you know that Games Workshop imported Dungeons and Dragons to the UK?
Yeah, Ian Livingston and Mark, whatever his name is.
They kind of built, because Games Workshop started making like wooden tabletop games, and then the deal with Gary Gygax to bring D&D to the UK, and then built Citadel and everything else off the back of that.
Oh, cool. Fair enough. You just told me something. That was actually an interesting bit of info.
Yeah, if you listen to our friends on the Grognard Files,
yeah,
they actually have an interview with one of the founders of Games Workshop this week.
Oh, cool.
And that's quite interesting. And he says about getting D&D over, the first one with the 3 white books in a box with some dice in it.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing they had. It was a little box that said Dungeons and Dragons on it, all like hand-drawn pictures and stuff.
Oh, awesome. Brilliant. Another question then. So, why do you think that tabletop gaming in particular, wargaming, has gone up so much in popularity over the last, I'd say, over the last sort of 10 years or so? It has absolutely gone massive. Like the amount of people that are getting into it, and we also bring it back to obviously the D&D. D&D has gone through the roof, like in popularity, compared to where it always used to be. Just out of curiosity, why do you think that is?
It's like media attention, isn't it? Or I think it is anyway. Media attention. So like D&D, I've seen a massive increase in D&D role-playing game sales since Stranger Things came on the telly on Netflix.
All right, so they are a lot to that, do they?
Yeah. So it's all to do with like, and the quality of like entry games is getting so much better. So like just board games like Ticket to Ride and Carcassonne and Catan, you can buy them in Toys R Us or Waterstone, whatever now. So they're more accessible than they ever were. You used to have games. And so people buy something like that's got a few miniatures in. They realise that they're actually pretty cool. A bit like if you ever had Hero Quest in the like 90s.
Back in the day, we did First Quest. That was our first introduction. First Quest D&D, Advanced D&D First Quest. That little blue box, like 5 miniatures in it, and a couple of battle mats, and it was away.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, so have you got any recommendations? Because as we pointed out when I first, like the first question I asked you, Warhammer, obviously everybody knows of Warhammer. Some of these smaller games, especially that I've seen, some of the World War II based ones, they look amazingly interesting and very intricate and just as easy to get into and play, but they're obviously not as accessible or not as they're not as renowned. Do you know what I mean? And publicised. Any recommendations for you from you personally as a nice game for someone to get into, or for somebody that was a massive Warhammer fan, that would be an easy transition?
Okay, so there's a couple of games that I would recommend from personal experience. Okay, so have you heard of Bolt Action?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, we have heard of this.
We was nicely leading you into it, to be honest.
We were trying to lead you down, bring you down the path.
I don't lead me into Bolt Action or away from Bolt Action. Well, so Bolt Action is like hugely probably the most popular 28mm World War II war game. Yeah, is fantastic and really has a low entry point for buy-in to the game. So you don't have to spend a huge amount of money to get a playable out of it. So that's pretty good. It's a good popular game with all the local clubs down there. there's a good sci-fi game that Warlord produced, which is really underrated, which was written by Rick Priestley, who wrote 40k. So it's Beyond the Gates of Antares, if you've heard of that.
Which is personally, but that's why I was asking you the question.
Beyond
the expert.
It's a sci-fi version of Bolt Action with a few extra intricacies. So they've got their own alien races that they've developed and what have you. And Rick Priestley is a fantastic games designer. The game is awesome, but it just hasn't got as much traction because when they kind of tried to bring it to the forefront last year, 40k 8th edition dropped and kind of eclipsed everything.
Bastards. Yeah.
So, and then Mantic Games tried to launch Warpath, which is their version of like 40k at the same time, and also took a massive hit. So I can't tell you how good it is. But, yeah.
One I was quite...
Beyond the Gates
and
Bolt Action, definitely worth a try.
Oh, cool. Nice one.
One of them I was, because as I said, I'm a bit away from the wargaming myself. But like the skirmish game, is it Frostgrave? Frostmoor?
Yeah, Frostgrave's awesome.
Frostgrave, yeah. I had a quick look into it, and obviously as a staunch role player, not really into like, I couldn't quite work out where they was going with it because it's like 2v more or what? I didn't understand.
Yeah, you can play it 1v1, or you can play it with like 4 or 5 players if you want, where everybody's against everybody else. It isn't necessarily the goal to wipe out your opponents. It's more to bag as much treasure and leave with as many of your men not dead as possible.
Sounds like my kind of game.
Different sort of aspect. I'm used to just playing games where you wipe each other out.
Yeah, it can be a bit more of a collaborative type of thing than traditional war games, where you're just trying to obliterate your opponent or achieve an objective.
But it's also smaller based on the amount of miniatures, right?
Yeah. So you're only playing with a maximum of like 10 or 11 models per side.
Oh, so this would actually be a cheaper game to play as well, just because of the amount of models you need.
Yeah. The only downside with Frostgrave is you need lots of terrain.
Ah, right. I see what you're saying. So the money goes more on your terrain and building up your sort of your cities and your forests and stuff like that to play in, rather than the models itself.
Yeah.
Always a hook.
There's always a hook. Yeah, they really.
You can still use books and cereal boxes and all that sort of stuff for your buildings and things. And
fag packets all the way.
Fag packets. You've got loads of fag packets and beer cans here. Gin bottles. As you can imagine.
What else could I suggest? We play a lot of Blood Bowl.
Blood Bowl. Do you know what? I've always wanted to play that, and I've never got round or been somewhere where I can. It's why I'm sort of interested in going to somewhere where there is lots of other games that I would be able to join in and play. You wouldn't happen to know anywhere where I'd be able to do that, would you?
Funnily enough, I think I might just know where there is somewhere you can go to do that. So, we're having a War Games event where you're going to be able to come along and play all sorts of different participation games.
Oh, do you know what? I might do that.
Yeah, do you know, it's called Ambush.
Ambush? Oh, I knew I'd heard of it somewhere. I couldn't think. Yeah, so what does this involve then? And how did you happen to get yourself into this then?
Okay, so how I got myself into that is I've been around a few other war game shows in the north of England and decided that maybe we should do something that suited our local area.
Technical issues. Technical issue number Renegade Logan X004621B42XX Poo. Issue addressing.
Deleted information.
Will not be shown here. Please proceed to additional information.
And you're back in the room.
Okay, so what is Ambush, and how did you get involved in it then?
Okay, so Ambush is going to be a 2-day wargaming event that we're holding just outside Driffield in the East Yorkshire. All right, and how I got involved in it is I decided that we needed to have a decent event for wargamers and role players and what have you, gamers in general in the local area, to be able to attend without having to travel 50 or 100 miles to get somewhere.
Who'd want to do that?
Maybe in a camper van.
So I organised this event. We've got this fantastic venue, it's a showground where they have an annual. The main thing they do there, they have an annual show where they get like 20,000 people in. So we're going to take over the showground.
It's big then. It's not exactly a small event. Bloody hell.
Yeah. There's a couple of buildings, and that's what we're going to be using to start off with, because this is our first year, and then hopefully we're going to grow and take over like more and more of the site every year. So
eventually take over the world.
Well, of course. Yeah, it'd be nice to hold an event where 20,000 people turn up. That'd be awesome.
That's it. Yeah. Then you can just keep moving all around the country and eventually the world.
Yeah, that'd be
in a camper van.
That'd be good. Caravan. I use a caravan to carry the stock around when we go to shows.
So your event has prompted us to start the DDB Mobile. So we're looking into getting a camper van and going on the road touring to all different events. And we will be dropping in on Ambush to terrorise you.
You've inspired us. So we intend on turning up, doing the DDB terrorising.
And getting interviews with obviously all the...
At this event, obviously, I'm assuming, being part of that, as I've been part of that world anyway, everyone's very friendly in the tabletop gaming world and the D&D world. Well, majority of people are very friendly and very open to showing you their game, showing you how it's played, that sort of thing. So I'm assuming that at this event, it will be very much the same sort of people. If you wanted to have a go, you'll be more than welcome to go up to a table and have a little go of a game yourself, get an introduction to it, a bit of a beginner's guide.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got a few different game manufacturers coming along to specifically demo their games.
Oh, cool.
And then we've got a couple of clubs coming down that are going to be running participation games for people to come and get involved and use their models and everything to play some other games. So there'll be like games like Bolt Action and 40k and Blood Bowl and a few other bits and pieces. Hopefully, one of the clubs is going to run some like Dungeons and Dragons adventure type things where people would just drop in and take a seat.
And, if it's all right with you, I might even set up a small little one-shot campaign for a few people there, maybe on the evening of the first day.
That sounds excellent.
Yeah, we'll get some people in on that and record that.
We'll bring the drinking horns and mead.
Yeah, I like mead. Yeah, that's cool.
Do you like copious amounts of mead?
Yeah. Until you pass out and roll in the fire in the chainmail. That's the.
I like this guy. We're gonna have fun.
So yeah, it's a 2-day event. I understand you've got some obviously you don't game all through the night. You've got some evening entertainment there as well, right?
Yeah, so we've got a bar that should be open from kind of like midday every day until probably midnight. And then we've also got a couple of local bands going to come and play, and there'll be space for people at the game up until the midnight as well if you want to. So
that is absolutely awesome. So if you got really involved in a game and you found a group of lads that you thought, do you know what, I want to go back and play with them later, you could all meet up a bit later on and have a little game again.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll have a few traders on site where you can come and pick up a few bits and pieces, whether you want like some extra little scenery or miniatures or whatever to put in your game. We'll have a few people there that you can get that off as well.
Oh, cool.
That's good.
Are we going to have D&D models, maybe?
Well, the Reaper miniatures is what I'm interested in.
Yeah, well, apparently these Reaper miniatures are absolutely brilliant for D&D, are they?
Well, we've got 2 of our character-based miniatures are Reaper Legends.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Donk.
I play Donk. Donk, the half-orc barbarian that can only say one word. Yeah. Donk.
He's Donk. Well, as far as I know, we're the largest UK Reaper stockist. So
okay. So,
Which
yeah,
is pretty-
we'll definitely be coming to...
Might even have to visit the store one day.
Maybe on the way back. I don't know
Maybe
when
on
it's
the
going
way
to be
back.
open.
Yeah, just pop in, have a look.
Well, funnily enough, you won't. Well, you're welcome to come to the shop, but you won't need to because we're going to have our own stand there with all the Reaper miniatures on.
Oh, fantastic! So people can find you at the event as well. So this
Yeah.
is even better.
Yeah, I'll have the boys there manning the store.
Brilliant.
So,
Yeah.
overall, do you like the way that the tabletop gaming world is going? Do you like where it's going? Do you like how it's expanding? The sort of just the imagination that's gone into some of these newer games. Do you like? Are you happy with the way that this is all going now?
I think, honestly, I think it's fantastic. It can only be good, can it? The more people that you bring into the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing, I'm a little bit down on Kickstarter. I think that Kickstarter, some of the companies that are using Kickstarter are kind of like abusing the system.
Yeah, they don't deserve to use it. Their game's already established, and they're releasing something extra for a little bit more money before it's made.
Really?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Right. So it's
Yeah.
a little bit of an abuse taking
With
place
a little
sometimes.
bit of negativity on that side of things, but I think like the way that the community is growing as a whole can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it is better than hanging around on street corners, I suppose, for some of the
Yeah.
kids. If we can get them into this, maybe we'll
Yeah, so we're
more
getting-
geeks, and the geeks will rule the world.
A few sessions for like new D&D players to come in and just try it out for a couple of weeks, and then like we turn them loose on their own with a starter set and what have you, and get them out there playing. So you know,
Brilliant.
you've got to try and
Brilliant.
put people into the hobby. But all these gateway games that they're getting, it's fantastic. And then eventually they'll all become tabletop gamers. And even if you don't buy Games Workshop stuff, they're going to go and find Bolt Action or Hail Caesar or whatever other Frostgrave. All these cool little things, and then have them all sucked in, won't we?
Well, that is the best way to go
Well,
for it.
talking about sucking in juniors, we might want to stay away from, obviously, with the Kevin Spacey thing at the minute.
Yeah, I mean,
Obviously.
touchy Kevin Spacey, yeah. Just so, obviously, we know about Ambush, but we don't know where it is. We don't know when it is. So, can you give us a bit of an update onto that, so that the people that obviously listen to this interview know what to do and where to go?
Okay. So Ambush is on the 23rd and 24th of June this year. You can turn up on the Friday night, so that's a Saturday and a Sunday. You can turn up on the Friday night and pitch your tent and go and start playing some games if you want to.
Or park your camper van.
On the floor, park your camper van, yeah. That's cool. So that's the show opens at 10 o'clock each day until 4 o'clock. They're the official opening times, but obviously it's like from when you get up to when you want to go to bed, really. And so that's that. And it's held at Driffield in East Yorkshire, the Driffield Showground in East Yorkshire. Which
We've been saying that wrong on shows for the last couple of weeks.
We've been saying Duffield or something.
Something like that. I can't even remember.
They speak funny up there. But we're going to go up there, so we'll be speaking funny.
Right. So, obviously, and what dates was that? The 23rd?
23rd and 24th of June.
23rd, 24th of June, with local bands, beer and games. Sounds amazing.
Absolutely. I can't wait. Honestly, I can't wait to get there, and I can't wait to meet you. Because this sounds
Yeah.
like a really good event.
So, obviously, you're leading your store. Where exactly is your store? Where can people buy stuff from your store? What's your online address?
Some shout-outs.
Yeah. Who do you want to say thanks to?
Okay, so it's www.mightylancergames.co.uk, and we have a store in Bridlington, which is in East Yorkshire, and it's 1A Springfield Avenue in Bridlington, and come down and visit us, come down and see us, and or give us a visit up on the website. Follow us on Twitter and everything else you can find us on.
Exactly. So on our Twitter feed, we retweet you a lot. We'll be putting out, obviously, that we've spoken to you today. We're going to be bigging you up until that point. Maybe, if it's okay with you, once the fear sets in, you know, like a week before the show, the ambush, we'll have another quick interview just to see how you're feeling about it all.
Whether it's doing this.
Oh, it will be.
It's an audio podcast, Matt, and no one needs to know what you was doing.
No one's not supposed to see it. I was just doing it for the camera. I got me.
Yeah, to be fair, it's not that far off that now. To be fair,
It's a bit of a
seemed like such a good idea at the time.
Yeah, tell me about it. I've done loads of things like that recently.
Oh, but it sounds like it's going to be an absolutely cool event. So that's Ambush on the Driffield.
Nope.
That's it.
Driffield showroom.
Driffield showroom.
show something.
I've well fucked this up. Fucking hell, Jesus.
Right, start again. I'll cut that bit out.
Start again. Right.
So it's Ambush.
So it's Ambush at the Driffield show. Is it Driffield?
Driffield.
Right. Ambush Driffield Showground on the 23rd and the 24th of June this year. Get your asses down there. Go and check this out. It sounds like it's going to be an absolutely awesome event.
Buy Nathan a beer. Buy
Nathan a beer. Buy us a beer. Come and see us. Have a little bit of a game with us. Have a look around. Loads of fun people. Everyone's friendly, and they can all show you into any of the games that you want to play, anything you're interested in. Am I about right there?
That's spot on.
Yeah, brilliant. Right, so thank you very much, Nathan. We're going to stop this interview there. This will be on the show probably in about a week's time. We'll send you the link. You can listen to yourself. So just want to wrap it up there. Thank you very much.
See you, mate. Thank you very much. Cheers for that.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
So, that was Nathan of MightyLanceGames.com. Go check them out. And obviously, me and Renegade Logan, we're going to be heading up in the new-founded DDB Mobile.
We will.
Yeah.
Great idea.
It is actually a good idea. It's a good idea you've had, so I'm very surprised.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
Now remember, we'll be there from the start of it, the 23rd to the 24th of June. Under fives go free. If you want to pop up just for the day, it's £5. I'm not sure how that works with the evening entertainment, but I'm pretty sure they're not that bothered.
It didn't seem like it was that strict a thing. It was like come and
see what it's all about.
Pay to get in.
It's their first year, and it's £8 for the entire weekend. That does give you access to the camping site, because obviously it's on a massive field. So if you do want to go up there with a tent and chill out, you can as well. Or a camper van. And that is at the Derryfield Showground in Derryfield Showground in.
It's not Derryfield.
It's
Struffield. Remember? We're saying it like Southerners.
Ah, that's right. No, it's not Druff, is it? It's Driffield. Driffield. There, the way. Yeah, we got there. Driffield Showground in Kellythorpe, up in East Yorkshire.
Yeah, up that way.
Yeah, that miles and miles away from where we are right now.
If you do turn up, then we're going to be there as well, and we're going to be playing some D&D.
Well, hopefully I'm going to be running some evening events, some little tiny D&D stuff. So if you want to be recorded and appear on the show, obviously come say hello. I'll have some pre-generated characters, only little things, hour long.
There'll be two big blokes with beards and drinking horns.
Yeah, and us. But yeah, come buy us a beer, come buy Nathan a beer. We'll buy you a beer, why not? And if we do approach you and tell you to come to the mobile, get in the back of our van, don't be scared.
Yeah,
it's just us.
It's for really innocent reasons.
All innocent.
So yeah, and that is, or was, the birth of our events list. That was where it all started, where, as time immemorial will tell, where we decided that we're going to take this show and our network, not on the road, but we're going to get out there. We're going to come and see the people. We're going to come say hello to everyone.
It's funny because we've actually, when we put the idea out there, we were actually invited by a few people.
just to come and terrorise them in their hometown.
That's pretty cool.
They genuinely were like, yeah, come and terrorise us.
Please.
In a bad way.
Yeah, we've heard what's happened before.
Not bad terrorism. Remember that. We're good terrorists.
Good terrorism. Like the IRA. It's not
we're doing this one.
So, just like the IRA, we're going to be travelling around London.
Or maybe it won't get in there, who knows?
but without many flammable materials. Okay, so we've got the guys here, they're going to go and represent us again at the Anime Gaming Con. As I said, we've been there. Chaz, down to you to make some cool videos again. Don't lose your phone.
That's no guarantee. That's no guarantee.
As I said before, when you go up there, obviously you are recording for Dem Drunk Blokes Presents.
Of course.
But also Catch Up for the Soul. Chaz, try and get our moniker in there.
We'll be trying to hand out all the flyers as much as we can while we're there. And
fuck you, Chaz. But yeah, get it out there. If you're going to talk to gamers, try and mention the Beardy Pie Radio, obviously. Because they're not going to be going, so you're representing everyone as a group.
Big shout to everyone, big shout.
Exactly. And then on the 3rd of March, you're off to as Catch Up for the Soul.
Yeah, I'm going to go and go to a Q&A in Manchester with Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf. Some people may not agree with the decision to go and do this, but yeah, I managed to grab myself 2 tickets to sit down in a theatre in Manchester.
Can you get him just to shout "Just Do It" at you and record it?
I think it's just the name Shia LaBeouf.
Just Shia LaBeouf. So yeah, no, I've just been interested in some of the shit that he's been doing, some of the art installations that he's been up to, and I just kind of think it's a little bit of a bold step of someone of his calibre that was an Hollywood actor at the time, and everything like his collapse and stuff that it was portrayed, like with the bag on his head. That was all part of the installations that have been going on.
But that's what I mean. This is why people should go out and listen to Catch Up for the Soul, because it's a little bit more in-depth of stuff. We might take the piss out of him on our show, but you'll go and find out why we take the piss out of him.
yeah, exactly.
Why he doesn't deserve the piss being taken out of him.
And maybe he doesn't deserve it, and we can all change our views.
Well, that's it. I always think that there is some kind of motivation behind someone's actions, and it's nice to try and find that out. So
exactly. I'm going to skip the next one because it's not in final. We also have Tabletop Gaming Live. Now, if anyone remembers Tabletop Gaming Magazine?
Sure do.
We have a few issues here. I've been trying to get in contact with them to give us a few issues as prizes for listeners, but it's falling on deaf ears at the moment. But Tabletop Gaming Magazine, you can pick it up in WH Smith's, certain fucking newsagents. It's quite a big magazine now. It's only started the last couple of years, but it got everything to do with board games, role playing, war games, anything you do on a tabletop, not sex. But yeah, anything gaming.
Sex.
You can do him on any table you like.
Name drop.
But yeah, that's going to be at the Alley Pally in September, at the end of September.
Cool.
We're going to go there. We're going to go see our good friends. You may have used to listen to them on the House of Geek podcast. You would have heard their 50th episode special with an interview with me and a certain someone in the room. They went off to do the Comic Art Festival podcast. And that is a official podcast of the Lakes International Comic Art Festival. And that's held in Kendal every year, and the entire town of Kendal becomes a massive festival, all dedicated to the art of comic books.
That sounds cool.
And we're going to be heading up there in the DDB Mobile around October the 12th. It's going to be a long trip. Not sure who's going to be going yet, because it's in Kendal, which is fucking miles away. But we're going to do our best to get up there with a few representatives, go and see all the shows, everything going on there, because there's so much.
Get some mean cake.
That's where all those Kendalians live.
Cumbrians.
I wonder what they call people from Kendal.
Mint cake.
Obviously, we've got EGX in Birmingham on the 20th and 20th to the... Oh yeah, it's all week, isn't it? 20th to the 33rd of September. We're going to try and get up there. But obviously, that's going on at the same time as Tabletop Live. So some of the crew might go one, some of the crew might go the other. We're going to try and get out there and meet all you lovely people. So come say hello to us. We're going to try the MCM Comic Con again. We did go last year, and there are pictures of us going last year, but the videos was lost because someone stuck their phone in a river.
What river?
The Thames, the only river.
Oh.
He said it was waterproof. It was waterproof until he put a big crack in it, but forgot about the crack, so dipped it in the Thames. Ain't that right?
It happens.
And
things in history.
Speaking of the DDB Comics, again, you can hear on our last show, and also The Good, the Great, and the Logan X.
Yes.
He obviously is the proprietor of D3G Comics. and he has a stall at Gray's GeekyCon.
He does this year,
October 6th, I think. We're going to go and muster in on his stall, put our banner up, and just stand there and interview people coming and going and seeing who's about, do some stuff there. Obviously, if you have an event near you that you're going to, let us know. We might come and terrorise it with you.
Just for shits.
And gigs.
Shits and gigs!
And that's pretty much all the news of Dem Drunk Blokes going forward. Has anyone else got anything they want to say before I go into the last bit?
Listen to us.
Yeah. Lefty No Hands, catch up for the soul.
I've got a new
DDB
podcast.
presents The Good, The Great and The Logan.
You can tell they've got new podcasts out. They're like, please listen to us. Please, guys, from this podcast, go and listen to us. But that is as I said, that is the idea of becoming this network of DDB Presents. Do go and listen to them, because even if you don't like their voice, there'll be that strange interview where I show up, where DDB Voice Guy shows up, and it'll make it all worthwhile.
DDB Voice Guy.
Not Joe, though. Not Joe. If Joe
Not that.
turns up.
Not with that voice, anyway.
Are you talking about the lead singer of Pink Face?
No, I'm the lead singer of Pink Face.
No, I'm the lead singer of Pink Face.
I am Big Face!
Okay, so go and listen to them, guys. Did you want to say something, Mr. Voice Guy?
No, I don't want to say anything. Fuck off.
Okay, so as you've been hearing about and probably been seeing on the twits and everything else, we've got our arse in gear, and we've finally got our first season of Dem Drunk Blokes Do D&D ready and going to come out to your lovely ears. Now, I know you've heard some of us do D&D before, and you know how bad it was with my editing skills. It sounded like atrocious and shit. This time we've got Lukey Baby.
We got Cool Hand Luke on the mix. He's editing with the Switch. Ooh-wee.
Yeah, that's Lukey Baby 88 at Twitter. And he's done a fantastic job.
Lukey Baby 88.
Hey, Lukey.
And he will be releasing every time I try and fucking talk. And he has got their first season done. We've got another season with some different characters, and we're going to keep piling it on to him. So hopefully, not until we want to do it again will we be sitting around this table and chatting. There'll be no pressure for us because we've got loads of content for you. Well edited, very funny. I mean, seriously funny. To take a quote from the latest season, could your vagina stop blowing out my candle? Will be coming out shortly for you. So in this very short episode...
vagina? What candle? What kind of scene would invoke this kind of projection of reality?
So I've been trying to hold this together. I'm at Shogun Pumba on Twitter.
My name is Lefty No Hands, and catch up for the soul.
And at Renegade Logan X, and DDB presents The Good, The Great and The Logan X.
Some people call me DDB Voice Guy. I'm Paige Patain. And I'm Cool Hand Luke on the Switch, editing on the mix. Ow!
Please, reviews on iTunes, reviews on Podbean. Just let us know what you think. A bit of feedback is always nice. And I'm going to try and lead out, if we can remember what it was, Paige Patain singing us a little ditty. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.